figures as soon as I hit the button. The dog's barking. Hopefully it's nothing important. Okay, I know I've been on here a lot during sugar season talking all about maple syrup, which I love talking about. But today it's going to be something a little different, although it definitely relates to maple syrup because this is my favorite way to incorporate the flour into my favorite bread recipe. If you don't have a copy of Sweet Maple, you might not know my favorite recipe is maple sandwich bread. Absolutely delicious. I share it in the book. If you're interested in that recipe, I don't normally give it out, but if you go to the video description, there'll be a link of how you can access a copy. I wanted to tell you today how I make my own flour and why. If you follow me on Instagram, you have heard me talk about this a lot, and I get a whole lot of questions. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions and show you 2 different options for mills and talk about what you want to look for if you're considering purchasing your own grain mill. Okay, first of all, let me show you my wheat berries. Wheat berries are an amazing thing. First of all, they can store for thousands of years. In the right condition, these babies will last forever. Now, every single berry has 3 parts. There's the bran, which is the outer coating. There's the germ, which is a tiny little spot inside the berry, and the whole rest of it is the endosperm. Let me tell you why this matters. The outside part, the bran, and that little germ inside, both contain almost all of the nutrition in every single wheat berry. The bran is loaded with fiber, and the germ has oil, vitamins, proteins, minerals. It's amazing in this tiny little wheat berry, the amount of amazing vitamins, minerals, and proteins that there are. But in commercial flour, when you go and buy it at the grocery store, they have taken out the bran and the germ. So that leaves you with the endosperm. The endosperm consists of starch. So in your flour at the store, all that you have from the actual wheat berry is a whole bunch of starch. Now, you've probably noticed that adjective in front of your flour that says enriched. That's because they took out all the really good stuff and they throw back in some stuff so they can tell you, it's enriched, and so it has some redeeming quality to it. But the reason they take out that, if you remember what I told you, is in the germ. One of those parts of the germ is oil. Oil goes rancid. If they tried to make commercial flour and leave the bran and the germ in it, the flour would not be shelf stable. So you're talking rancid flour. That's not something, that works. So if you want to have the most nutritional flour you can, you want to grind it yourself. I have some fresh ground flour here to show you. And depending on your mill, you can get all different coarseness of flour. You actually don't have to even use wheat berries. There's all kinds of alternative grains and even legumes that you can use to make flour. So if someone in your family has a dietary restriction that they can't have traditional flour, you might really want to look into these options because you can save a whole lot of money making the non-traditional flour on your own, of course, than purchasing it. So today I wanted to compare a couple mills with you and give you some insight into what to look for if this is something that you've been thinking about purchasing, especially in 2020 with the insanity of not being able to find flour at the store. I don't know if it was like that where you live, but we literally had empty shelves of flour. So I was really thankful that I had those wheat berries and I had a mill. So if you want to be able to control, your food source, or you just want to have the most nutritional flour, some things that you want to look for. One thing to consider, of course, is the appearance. If you're going to be keeping it on your kitchen counter like I do, appearance might matter to you. Nothing wrong with either of these in my opinion, but they're obviously very different in appearance and they're very different in size. Now, there's good and bad to it being bigger. I don't have room to store this classic Nutrimill on my counter, so I have to bring it out of the back hall when I want to use it. But the good side to its size is look at this hopper. It has an extender that you put on it, and it can hold a whole lot of wheat berries. I'm not sure how many cups, but it must be, oh, at least 5, 6, maybe it's 10 cups of berries. It holds a whole lot of wheat berries. And the hopper on this one, this is the Harvest Mill. I'll leave links in the show notes to both of these so you can find out more about them. Obviously, it has a much smaller hopper on top, but if you're just gonna make your amount of flour you need for that current hour, for that baking period, then this is more than sufficient for me. I've never had a problem with the size of it. And this lid is really just mainly for appearance and to keep your bowl dust free. You don't need it on when you're milling. You can just toss more wheat berries in when you put a bowl underneath. This one you do need to use your own bowl. But if you notice that it's not enough flour for your purposes, you just toss more wheat berries in while it's running, not a problem. The great thing with this one is it has the bowl as part of the design. So these might be factors that are important to you, if you want to use your own bowl for whatever reason, or you want your unit to collect all the flour as it's making it. This one, the flour is going to be collected down in here. Because there we go. And this one also has, well, they're different technology. Maybe I should explain that. This one has this cup that helps with aerating the flour. You do need to have that on when you're milling. So this one has more parts and pieces. It has the hopper extender. It has this attached bowl. So that could be good or bad to you, whatever way you want to look at that. This one definitely is more technological, I guess. Is that even a word? And has a few more gadgets that you need to make sure you have connected before you go, grinding your flour. And it has your dial right here. You can tell it exactly how fine you want your flour. On this version, that happens right here. You turn this knob to make the stones meet up. And the closer the stones are to each other, let me pop this off and show you my stones. Oh. The closer the stones are to each other, the finer your flour will be. So this is more like a traditional grinding method. You have 2 stones that are grinding together at a full, fast force and grinding up your wheat berries. But these are not traditional old-fashioned stones. They're actually a quality that is almost as hard as diamonds. So these are some pretty intense technical stones in this mill. Now in this one, so this is the Harvest, in the classic mill, I can't show you the technology, but I can explain it to you. Inside of here, there are many concentric, is that the right word? Circles of stainless steel teeth. And those teeth are spinning tens of thousands of revolutions per minute and spewing apart, dividing up, and breaking up your wheat berries when you put them in here. So those teeth never touch, they're just spinning really, really fast. In here, your stones actually are going to grind together to grind up your berries. So 2 totally different technologies. This is called, I believe it's just called a stone mill, and this would be called an impact mill. I'm not sure why it's called impact, because like I said, the teeth don't touch, but I guess they're impacting the berries is why they call it that. I'm not sure. Okay, so some other things you might want to consider. You want to consider the size, but also not only because you want to know if you have enough room on your counter to hold this, if that's something important to you, but also think about your refrigerator and freezer space. If you're using a larger mill like this because you want the luxury of making 5 pounds of flour at a time, it's a great thing to have. You do need to remember that because as soon as you grind the wheat berry, it starts to lose its nutritional qualities. And remember, it will turn rancid if it's given too much time sitting there. It's not shelf stable. So you do want to keep it in the refrigerator or freezer. So just keep in mind, you want to have enough space for that. I say that because it's hard for me to be able to have enough space for that because our refrigerator and freezer are sometimes overflowing with all kinds of food. I don't know why I have this problem, but I do. So for me, that's a negative to grinding a whole lot of flour at once. Instead, I like a smaller mill. I'll just grind the amount that I'm going to use at that moment. It's more nutritional that way, and then I don't have to store it away. But as I showed you my flour, I will make flour in this if I think I'm gonna do a lot of baking coming up, and then I'll keep this in the refrigerator. Okay, what else did I want to tell you? What else? If you are concerned about the cost of buying the mill or the wheat berries, I thought I would tell you that I did a breakdown, a complete cost benefit analysis, which really tells you I must really like you guys because I really hate working with numbers and I kind of hate math. But I also did it for myself, honestly, because I really wanted to know how long would it take for me to pay back the cost of purchasing the mill, or was I even going to save money by making my own flour? Because honestly, I kind of thought I wasn't going to save money, because with most health food, you don't save money, right? With most food that's healthier for you, you pay more for it. I mean, probably if you're watching this, you love maple syrup, and if not, I should talk to you about that, because you really should. And we all know maple syrup is one of the most expensive sugars you can buy, but it's also one of the most nutritional, and it's so much better for you than simply buying refined sugar. In fact, buying refined sugar has no redeeming qualities whatsoever unless you want to consider the fact that it's slightly cheaper. Okay, so I was prepared that maybe I wasn't going to save any money by grinding my own flour. I can't tell you how pleasantly surprised I was that I was wrong, and I absolutely saved money by grinding my own flour. I have a kitten that literally climbed up my jeans just now. Did you want to say hi? Let's see, if you're going to climb up, you need to say hi. There you go. Now I'm going to put the kitten over here. Let me put it over here. Okay. So, because I really don't want her climbing up my jeans anymore. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So I figured out the cost of the wheat berries and how much flour I could make with how many wheat berries. And I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to pull up my notes over here. So I will leave the source for you. I have a couple sources where I love to get wheat berries. They're really good wheat berries, and the price is fantastic. I'll leave those in the description. But basically about $24 or $25 for 25 pounds of wheat berries. And that equates, well, 1 pound of wheat berries equals about 4.5 cups of flour. So 4.5 pounds of berries are the amount you'll need to make a 5-pound amount of fresh ground flour. So doing the math, it turns out to be $4 and change for 5 pounds of fresh flour. Now, if I buy flour at the store, I buy King Arthur flour because it is by far the most nutritional that you can purchase of any commercial flour. And it cost me a good bit more. I didn't write down how much. I think it's like $1.60 more for 5 pounds of that than for the fresh flour. And of course, the fresh flour is the most nutritional option I could ever consider. So I'm actually saving money when I'm milling my own flour. I will leave a link to that breakdown and how I figured that all out down below. One question people often ask is what kind of wheat berries? To make a bread that tastes like a commercial white bread, you want to use hard white wheat. And to make cookies and cakes, pastries and pie crusts, you want to use soft white wheat berries. Lots of other questions. I've actually answered a whole lot over on Instagram. If you follow me there, I have a couple highlights all about fresh flour and about this particular mill. And if you're interested, leave questions and I can do, future lives here all about these mills and comparing them. But mainly I wanted to give you some ideas of what to look for and what to consider. The size, the appearance, how much flour it can grind at once, and how much you want it to grind at once for all the different reasons we talked about. So I hope that makes sense. If you'd like to grab my maple sandwich bread recipe, see the link below. And, oh, I should show you this too. This is a smart canister. If you do want to get a larger mill and you want to grind your own flour, this is one way to maintain the nutrition. This keeps your flour at a consistent humidity and temperature. It's kind of a crazy technology. It has a battery, a rechargeable battery in there. You charge it by plugging it in right here. And let me show you, move these over and put them inside mine, because I just keep my flour in the fridge when I do have a batch of it like that. So I thought maybe I would like to use this for some different things. So let me show you. You simply push the button on the top, and when that stops blinking, then I know the vacuum has been released and I can open it. You can use this to store vegetables and fruits, potatoes, garlic, onions, cereals, any dried cereals. You know, they sometimes go stale pretty quickly. You could keep the whole bag. You could put probably 2 or 3 bags of cereal in here to keep it fresh. You could keep chips, crackers, I mean, basically any food that you want to retain the freshness, keep it fresh longer. But like I said, it was intended for flour if you have a larger mill. So I thought I would show you. So my light, okay, so it stopped blinking. Now it's just, no? There you go. No? I'm not sure why it's still blinking. I guess there's a slight vacuum to it, but I'm sure the lid will come off now. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so I have my loose leaf tea in here. I like to buy my loose leaf tea in bulk, and to keep it as fresh as possible, it should be in a dark, cool area. And I thought, hey, vacuum seal will be even better to keep this tea as fresh as possible. So that's another option you can do with that. And then when you want to close it back up, press this, and you will hear the vacuum go into motion. I think it takes maybe around a minute for that to be completely sealed, temperature and humidity controlled. So there you have it. I think that's what I wanted to tell you about mills. But like I said, leave questions. Let me know, because this is a topic that I'm really intrigued by, and it just amazes me that, I'm gonna put this over here, that what we buy at the store is not traditional, true flour, and the germ and the bran has been stripped, and all those nutrients that were housed in that wonderful little kernel have been thrown away in the commercial flour. So there you have it. If you want to know more, let me know. I hope everything is fantastic in your neck of the woods. And here I am looking again.